Hey, welcome in. It is the inaugural video live stream for the Mark Harvard podcast. My name is Mark Harvard, thus the name on the podcast. Otherwise, that'd be awkward. And welcome in. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, so we're going to jump right in. Don't forget, you can join the full-length podcast every single Friday. We post one of these things, and we started back in January. And it's been fun up until this point. I've really had a blast with it. We've had some amazing guests. We've talked about some cool stuff. And the podcast continues to grow in the audio form. You can get it wherever, fine podcasts are found or not, Somehow they've let me in. I don't know. So, so we've got that going. Before we get too far into it, let me encourage you. I'm about to do the same thing. I'm actually going to jump on here and share the live stream to my Facebook friends, and I'm also going to share the link to the video as well over on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Twitch, you're watching on Facebook, let me know where you're watching from. I'm really interested in that, just because I want to know. I want to know where our best use is, where our best ability to reach people is. I want to be able to do all that. So that's going on right now. Be sure, like I said, go through and find and see the people, and find and download the full broadcast. And like I said before, I want to see where you're watching from. If you're watching now or on delay, that sort of thing. And I'll just go and tell you a quick backstory about why we're doing this tonight. My family's out of town. I've got no one else leeching off the Wi-Fi here. They're at a family reunion, so I'm here. And I went out, had some time at the grill, and made some smash burgers. I've got this. Okay. I'm kind of a grill guy. I like grilling, and it runs in my family. My father is a big cook guy. He likes cooking. He likes making fancy dishes. He likes cooking for a lot of people. I do too. I'm happiest when I've got like 9 different orders on the grill. It's like different stuff. I'm so that's my happy place. But yeah, so that's my favorite thing. So I've got a grill, and for Father's Day last year, my wife and my son got me one of these Blackstone flat tops, and it's almost exactly like what I used to cook on back when I was doing short order stuff and cooking as part of the old Tzatziki's chain. So I knew how to do a few things on it. Granted, I've had to remind myself, but I waited for a long time before I actually put it together and got it up and running. We finally got it up and running a couple of weeks ago. It's because we moved, and I didn't want to put it together and then have to move it. So I waited till after we moved. But I got this thing together. This thing is awesome. I've already done the Waffle House breakfast where I did the scrambled eggs and the bacon and all this other stuff. Tonight I did smash burgers because I was by myself. I figured I'll be my own test kitchen. So I did smash burgers. Those things were legit. Man alive, those things were good. So yeah, if you have any like recipes for the Blackstone, let me know, because I'm eager to try stuff now. Burgers, I got. Breakfast, I got. I've heard you can do pizza. I don't know. I love pizza. So I don't know. As you jump in, don't forget, let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to see where you're coming from and what platform you're watching on. We're broadcasting tonight on Facebook, on YouTube Live, and on Twitch. So I'd love to find out, where we're getting the most views from and where everybody's watching from and that sort of thing. And jump in on the conversation too. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, and we're just getting started. We started up 5 minutes ago, and we're just getting started. So yeah, let's jump right into it. The first thing I'm going to jump into is I've mentioned a few times my little boy, Jack. He's 4 years old, and he's already smarter than I am. He's got little quirks, and that's what makes Jack, and it makes me love him more than anything. I feel like this story is something that Jack would do. It's coming out of Minneapolis. And this little girl, for her 3-year-old birthday party, she wanted a cake. She wanted a birthday cake that that depicted a scene from her favorite kids movie, The Lion King. Fantastic movie. But she wanted a cake featuring a specific scene, and this scene was the death of Mufasa. And I'm probably thinking, huh? Why would you do that? Well, she had reasoning. She said that it was because she hoped that people would be sad when they saw the cake depicting the death of Mufasa, and they wouldn't want to eat cake anymore, and therefore she would get to eat all the cake. This kid's at a different level, okay? This is how Batman villains are born. She's going to end up saving the world or destroying the world because she thinks like that. Wow. Okay. And she says she already has plans for next year. She said that she wants to have a Cinderella cake. Let me see. What was the exact scene? It was another messed up scene too. She said that a Cinderella cake featuring the evil stepmother. So her purpose is she wants more cake, and she wants no one else to want cake so that she can have more cake. Good grief. I mean, this kid's living in 2030. Man alive. Looking back, I can't remember a lot of cakes that I had as birthdays. We did okay for birthdays in my house, but I mean, they were usually pretty low key things. I mean, I think once I had a bowling party, that sort of thing. But I never thought through cakes like that. Come on. Good grief. So let's take that. You know, we're going from birthdays. Let's actually go to the other end of the spectrum here and talk about death. That's right. Let's talk about death a little bit. Okay. So that's something that's been talked about a lot around my house. We've been talking about just, you know, how you deal with death. We've been talking about arrangements, dream, scenarios of how you want to do that. And all that sort of thing. So I'm getting a text from my wife who apparently doesn't realize I'm doing a podcast. So a live broadcast. So where was I? Okay, yeah, death. We've been talking a lot around my house about what arrangements you want. For me, I personally have told my wife, I want to roast me, not like, like a barbecue, but like, get a bunch of people together at a venue and everybody get up and tell their most embarrassing Mark story. Trust me, there are plenty of them. But yeah, I want set me up in the corner and roast me. I want everybody to laugh and have a great time, celebrate the life. Don't sit around being all mopey pants because that doesn't honor me at all. Well, this woman named Kay out of Utah, her biggest thing is she wanted to make sure that people came to visit her grave after she was buried. She passed away in 2019 at the age of 97, but her gravestone has gone viral because she has actually, she has the actual gravestone, but directly to the left of that, she has this big black marble block. And on that block is written her recipe for fudge. So some of you chefs out there, get ready to write this down because I feel like it's one of those things that you're going to want to see. In fact, let me see if I can do a quick screenshot and throw this out here. Let me see if StreamYard will let me put this up here for just a second. Because this is fantastic. Yeah, there we go. All right. Uploading. Okay. That's that's Kay's recipe for fudge. It's on the side of her gravestone. 2 squares of chocolate, butter, melt on low heat, stir in a cup of milk, bring to boil, 3 cups sugar, vanilla, pinch of salt, cook to softball stage, pour on a marble slab because you have those laying around, and cool and beat to eat. Okay, but it's getting a lot of people that want to like try fudge, and it's causing more and more people to come visit her grave because they can't believe this woman has done this. They want to get their pictures taken with it, and some people are bringing fudge, like, "Hey, I made the recipe, Kay. Here you go, yay!" Yeah, I mean they're doing the whole thing. So it's like she's created a way to create urgency for people to come see her, which is actually that's a long-standing thing that a lot of people don't really get. They worry about is how you're going to come see my grave, and that's why. I mean, I know a lot of people whose graves are way out there. Maybe they're in this old cemetery, and no one in the family lives on that side of the town, and so no one ever goes to see it. It's a big deal, and a lot of people are this way. They don't feel any sort of attachment to that grave area because there were no memories there. They don't feel attached there. I'm that way to a certain point with the grave area, unless me and that person had some sort of memory there. Okay, fine. I don't get it. So yeah, I get that. So Kay has figured out the loophole in all this. She's figured out how to get people to actually come and visit her gravestone. That's insane. We've got a lot to talk about now. Don't forget, if you're watching, jump in the comments. I can see all the comments come up. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know, like, if it's YouTube or live, or if it's Facebook, or if it's over on Stitch. And also let me know where you're watching from too, like city and that sort of thing. I'd love to be able to find out what kind of reach we're getting on these things. Just to kind of figure out, where we're gonna push a little harder, if you will. But yeah, we got a lot to jump into. Also, feel free, you can jump in as part of the conversation too. Love to get your feedback and your comments on all of this. I found this couple here around this story. A couple is starting to hide cash inside baby products at Target. Have you seen this? Now, our little boy is 4, so we're really not getting a whole lot of baby toys anymore. Now it's basically trying to explain to our kid that he doesn't get a toy whenever we go to Target, and also explain to his mom that she doesn't get a toy every time she goes to Target. Stay out of that little tchotchke aisle, Jenny. Yeah. Yeah, she actually really isn't all that bad. But this couple has started hiding cash in baby things because they remember, and this California couple, they remember when they were new parents how tight money was. And yeah, gosh, baby stuff is so expensive. It so is. So this couple, they've started slipping little bits of cash into baby products, and they've started documenting over on Instagram what they're doing. It's Crystal Duhaney and her husband. They left $1,000 cash inside baby products like diapers and formula, found at various Target stores in Southern California. And Duhaney is a mom herself. She wanted to help after making it through her own struggle as a new mom. She said, when we had our first baby, we struggled to make ends meet. Now that I own a successful business, I wanted to give back. So she and her husband decided to go to a few local Targets, and they just hid some cash. They wanted to make things a little easier and hopefully brighten the day, hopefully inspire maybe some people to pay it forward. So she's the founder of a company called Milky Mama, an organization that had assists moms with breastfeeding. And she shared the post about her first Target adventure on Instagram. In the video, she and her husband carefully slipped dollar bills into diaper boxes. The big boxes that the diapers come in, and under unopened formula lids at Target stores. That is pretty cool. And it's something I wouldn't have thought to do, but now I'm afraid that people are going to start going through and open up all of these lids now at the Targets in Southern California, hoping to find money. And that's not cool. It's not for you. So yeah, they're getting all kinds of great press off it. They say it's amazing. Thanks for giving back in this way. This is beautiful. Thank you for bringing smiles to the families that will receive these gifts. Added another, the mom of 2, who's also a registered nurse, wanted to make it known that she and her husband were careful to place the cash in a way that did not tamper with any of the products, because cleanliness. You don't want to get your grubby hands all over stuff. Diaper containers are sealed. The diapers are wrapped inside the box, which is true. You open up that box is sealed, but inside you have 2 sleeves of diapers. and those are also encased in plastic. So the money, them getting it, was not contaminating anything. So that's pretty cool. And I really hope it ends up getting some sort of copycat to it, you know? I hope we end up having some sort of passing it on thing. Because people helping people, that's actually pretty good. Pretty excited about that. Parents that maybe need some help. Let's swap over to this story. This one's out of, where is this? It's out of Central America. A teen, he and his parents got into a fight. His name is Andre Canto, 20 years old. He started this process when he was 16. He and his parents got in a fight. You know, he did the whole, forget it, you don't understand, I'm out of here. And he stormed out to the backyard. And he started looking, thinking, I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna not live here anymore. And it's gonna be, you know, all crazy. So Canto starts looking for a way to make his own place. Unfortunately, he's 16 and has no money. So he ends up getting a shovel and digging. Canto starts digging more and more. And over the next 6.5 years, he has dug his own bunker in his parents' backyard. Yeah, after school, he and a friend, they eventually got a pneumatic drill to help get through help this 10-foot deep cave. At this point, they've got $60 tied up in it, but they've got a living room, a bedroom, they have a heating system, they've got Wi-Fi down there. I don't guess you'd need a cooling system because you're underground, and so you end up, having your own. I mean, underground, you don't really have to worry about that much heating and cooling, but you end up, getting to have the other stuff. It got to the point where they started posting pictures, and it got a lot of online interest to the point where the city sent local officials out to make sure the cave was up to code. They had poured concrete walls to shore up everything. And so Canto's mother came down, told him that it looked smaller than it seemed in the videos that he had posted. Yeah. So he ended up getting all that squared away, and the city signed off on it and all that. So they ended up he lives down there to a certain point. There's no running water. There's no like toiletries or anything like that. So you can't live down there, but it's become basically like a man cave, a teen cave, a 20s cave, if you will, for he and his friends to hang out in. It makes me wonder if he and his parents actually made up, 6 years is a long time to be mad at your parents. So it makes me wonder if they actually ended up making it cool. But by that point, he had so much time settled into it that he felt like he was going to, he has to keep going now. I'm invested now. I can't stop now. We're not mad at each other, but at the same time, I've got to keep this going, So I'd be interested to find out what kind of relationship he and his parents have worked up to do all this. Speaking of home construction, this is a story that I found. Let me go just relate it a little bit. My wife and I, we recently in the last year, during lockdown, we bought my wife's parents' house. And through that, we've been doing a lot of renovations. We've done some upkeep stuff. We've done some maintenance stuff that needed to be done and that sort of thing. But it's funny because when you're doing that sort of stuff, you always find little things, these little things like where you just kind of raise your eyebrow like, wonder why they did that way. It was just kind of weird. In our old house, the house we lived in before this, I noticed we'd lived there a year before I noticed this, but the door frame where the latch is for the door, you got the doorknob, but there's that little metal latch that the door clicks into. That thing was held in place by 2 oversized screws with pennies stuck in, pushing it out. It was a year before I saw that. And I assume it's still that way. I don't know. I mean, it was that way when I left. It was that way when I got there. So, but you found those little oddity things. So I found this woman. She bought a house and she moved in, and there are always problems you got to fix, and sometimes people come up with these weird solutions. She noticed that the toilet paper holder in the guest bathroom was starting to hang off the wall. And she pulled it out, and it wasn't even like hardly attached. But as she pulled it out, she realized it was being held in the wall because it was glued to a bunch of Jenga blocks. The little Jenga game where you pull the pieces of wood out and, try to let the tower fall. It was being held in place by a bunch of Jenga blocks. So that has started her looking around. She's like, well, what else is the house foundation on Jenga blocks? Because that's a bad omen. That ends up being something that comes back to haunt you later on. So let's hope not. Yeah, I don't understand why that would be that way, but she shared the video to social media, and a lot of other people are giving her all kinds of business about it. It's been viewed 5.2 million times, and a lot of users seemed amused by the Jenga situation. They said there are at least 90 more convenient ways to not do that job correctly. Meaning they could have done it incorrectly and done it a lot easier incorrectly than the way that they did it. That took a lot of effort to do that in a horrible, horrible, horrible way. So, all right. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get some water, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. One thing we're going to talk about in just a few minutes is I've got this cool story about one of my favorite bands from the 90s and one of my favorite Christian artists. Also, Pringles has come through and entered the chicken sandwich wars. You heard me right. Pringles has entered the chicken sandwich wars. So that's coming up in just a few. Stick around. It is the Mark Harvard Podcast, and I will be back in just a few minutes. Don't forget, you can share us over on social media. Click if you're watching on Facebook, you can share that way. You can also on your timeline. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can share it on Facebook, and you can also share it on your Twitter feed and all that. And on Twitch, I don't know because I'm still learning how Twitch works. So yeah, I guess like it. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, all that's going on. Stick around, more to come. It is the Mark Harvard Podcast, and I'll be back in just a few.
The Mark Harvard Podcast.
I'd like to thank Old World Lumiere Candle Company for their continued sponsorship of the show. These guys are great, and there's still time to get your dad a candle for Father's Day. That's right. Old World has the traditional candles like vanilla and lavender, but they also have manly scents like leather and bourbon. Not together, apart. These things come in glass containers. They look awesome sitting on a dresser or a desk. Check them out online at owlcandlecompany.com. OWLcandlecompany.com. Or grab Dad something for Father's Day that'll make his world smell just a little better. Old World Lumiere Candle Company at owlcandlecompany.com. Summer's here, and it is time to update that summer wardrobe with some merch from the Mark Harvard Podcast. Go to markharvardcreative.com right now and click the store link to go get t-shirts, polos, bags, and hats with the Mark Harvard Podcast logo on them. You can also pick up our famous Jesus Soundwave design featuring the audio soundwave of the name Jesus. All that and so much more found at markharvardcreative.com today. Summer's here,
It's
and it is
the Mark
time
Harvard
to update.
Podcast.
There's a lot of people that are going to bang their hands on the desk and be real angry and stuff. What we're going to do is find the ways that God is working in all of this trouble and turmoil.
Who knew that optimism could sound so sarcastic?
We'll go over history, we'll go over the news of the day, and I'm probably going to make some jokes about 80s cartoons.
The Mark Harvard Podcast.
You never know what you're going to get, but if you don't listen, you don't get anything.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, MeWe, and online at markharvardcreative.com. We are back, and welcome to the Mark Harvard Podcast. My name is Mark. That's thus the name of the show. Otherwise, that gets awkward really, really fast. Thanks for joining in. Don't forget, let us know in the comments where you're watching, what platform you're watching on, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Also, I'd love to find out where, like, geographically you're watching from. And check in on any of the topics we've talked about tonight. We've talked about the little girl who wanted the birthday cake that depicted Mufasa's death on it, and how this girl is living in a different level. Also, we talked about different ways that you wanted to actually be a part of, or rather, you want to do your burial. And this woman that put her fudge recipe on her gravestone, which is kind of cool, you know? So, yeah, we've had a lot going on. Now, one thing I do want to make sure that you understand, you know about it, is that we do a regular podcast. This is the live stream version. First time we've ever done it this way. And, you know, we're still working out some kinks. We're still working out how the best way to do this is, what the best platform is. And so I'm kind of shotgunning it out right now. And, you know, we'll find a way to do it a little more laser focused later on. But at the same time, I had the time. I was here. Let's just do it this way and we'll figure it out as we go. But we do have a weekly regular podcast that you can pick up anywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Podbean, Edify, Google Podcasts. Basically, wherever you're going to find podcasts, you can find it there. We do it. It's about a 30-minute podcast, audio podcast that we do every single week. We release it on Friday mornings. And we don't get too terribly heavy with it. What kind of gets you into your weekend. I mean, there are enough people out there that are going to be angry. They're going to be and these darn liberals or these darn conservatives and all that. And yeah, sometimes I touch on some of that because I'm pretty firmly, I tend to lean toward conservatism, but at the same time, I understand that both parties are horribly corrupt and neither political party has a monopoly on jerks and awful people. They're on both sides. So when one side messes up and the other one calls him on it, it's just as easy to say, well, yeah, but you did the same thing 5 years ago. And it ends up being a back and forth where you're not convincing anyone of anything. And yeah, so that's the reason I don't spend a whole lot of time on it, because just basically we're at this echo back and forth, this round cycle of it that you don't actually solve anything. You know, it ends up just being noise. So what I want to do, what the actual focus is of doing the podcast and of doing this, what we're doing tonight, is things that are uplifting, things that are interesting and funny, but are uplifting, you know, things that are going to make you think, even if the story itself is not, you know, a big, you know, fluffy story, you know, where, you know, everybody, you know, ends up being happy-go-lucky, you know, that all everywhere. Even if that's not the case, we still end up with a good conversation to have with someone later on. If I can find out later on that someone sat down with their family and had a good conversation about something we talked about on the podcast or something we talked about here this evening, then I've done my job. I'm good. Yay. Excellent at that point. So I found this story over here. And okay, I was a kid of the 90s, the quintessential kid of the 90s. I was a college student in 1995 through the, you know, graduated University of Alabama in 1999. I walked around with hair down to my shoulders. I had the badly grown goatee. I mean, flannel shirts. In the wintertime, I was wearing Timberlands. In summertimes, it was either Birkenstocks or Tevas. And I always had music going. I'd had a show at the college station. I was the quintessential stereotypical college kid of the 90s, which makes this super, super happy for me, because in the 90s music, you had two trains of thought. You were into one of two camps. And let me know in the comments, if you're a 90s kid, let me know in the comments which of these camps you fall into. Were you Nirvana or were you Pearl Jam? Now, Nirvana, you know, that's, I mean, the t-shirts, everyone kind of associates that kind of down emo sort of life is hard. And then you had Pearl Jam over here, which was louder, which was a lot more of a rock band. In my opinion, I liked Pearl Jam better, because I always thought Nirvana took themselves way too seriously. You're a rock band. You're out there to entertain people.
Don't think it's any more than that. You're not leading a generation. You're playing music and hoping that they like it. So, this Nirvana tended to take themselves a little too seriously. Now, the members of Nirvana, Dave Grohl from Nirvana, has kind of, knee jerked back away from that hard and has had a very successful career. But Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam, they were more my style. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you were Team Nirvana or Team Pearl Jam. So as I grew older and I got into Christian music a little bit more, I got an attachment to David Crowder. Now he's doing this whole country thing where he's like almost like a backwoods sort of old time religion sort of flavored twangy banjo stuff for Christian music. But he's got a new album out called Milk and Honey. And I found this article over on Relevant Magazine. In an interview, he told a story that is almost too good to be true. He said, Eddie Vedder taught me how to surf, and I demanded the surfboard that he taught me on at the end. He said, so first off, I said, he's a huge Pearl Jam fan. I'm a 90s kid. Grunge music's my deal. I'm sorry. So Pearl Jam, huge fan. We're going to play at a conference in Hawaii, and me and my wife go a little early. And while we're there, it comes to my awareness. I said, hey, I just heard that Eddie Vedder might be staying here. That's crazy. And she goes, oh, you mean right there? And she points, and he's 16 feet away from David Crowder and his wife. And she said, now, Torres, I just fumble. I can't form sentences. Astonishingly, I'm blushing. I can't get up the nerve to say a word. We're out by the ocean. And she's like, what are you going to say? And what good's it going to do anyone? And I'm like, I don't know. I want to say hi and point out that he's Eddie Vedder. Like he doesn't know. And I like him. And that's what I want to do. And I really want to do it badly. I get it. There are artists that I would do the same thing for. He said, but I couldn't get them up the nerve. I walked right by him. I walked straight to my hotel room. I'm pacing inside my hotel room thinking, this is ridiculous. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. It's stupid anyway. Why would I want to do that? It's stupid. So I'm going back to the beach to lay down. I look over at him and our eyes meet. And I'm like, I'm doing it. I almost fall on him. I'm kneeling down by his lounge chair and I'm in the sand. I don't know if I'm on all fours or what, but I'm really too close to him. And I don't say anything for like 30 seconds. And I'm just staring at him. And it's so painful to think about. And then I remember, oh yeah, our bus driver right now is Long Hair John. Long Hair John happens to be Pearl Jam's bus driver too. And he had a one-off deal with us. So Crowder was not just some crazy stranger at this point. And Crowder says he changes immediately. He's not like grunting Eddie Vedder impersonation. He's talking normal. And he's like, oh, this is great. I'm going to ask for a photo. I don't need a photo. You're cool laying here. I'm sorry to interrupt. And I just wanted to say, I think you're amazing. I do church music, and bizarrely, what you do has helped me with what I do. And he goes, we'll grab a photo later. And I had to leave, and I didn't see him when I came back. And I'm like, oh, that was amazing. My wife's like, what'd you say? And I'm like, I don't know. Crowder said he and his wife went to dinner later. And I tell all the band guys, you won't believe this. I met Eddie Vedder today. And he said later I went back to the hotel and Eddie's at the pool. And he sees me from a long way off and he throws his hands up. He looks angry at me and he's like, and I'm like, oh man, Eddie's mad at me. He's like, where were you? And I'm like, I was there the whole time. He said, no, you weren't. I looked for you. We got to get the photo. And he looks troubled that he didn't get the photo with Crowder. Eddie Vedder. He said, so we get a photo and then we talk for like 45 minutes just hanging out at the pool. And at some point I say, man, I saw that surfboard by your lounge chair that I almost fell on. And he goes, that's not a surfboard. It's a paddleboard, which is a difference. Paddleboards are way bigger. They're thicker. Yeah. He said, so I'm like, I don't know. I don't surf. I don't paddle. But anyway, I saw the guests of the hotel learning how to surf. I'm going to do that tomorrow in honor of having met you. I know you're a huge surfer, so I'm going to do it tomorrow. And he goes, meet me at 7:30. I'm sorry, excuse me? I said, don't joke like this, man. First off, I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to call everyone I know. I'm going to have so many questions for you, and you're not going to like any of this. It's a bad idea. And Eddie goes, nah, I love teaching people how to surf. Meet me at 7:30. And I'm like, okay. And of course, Crowder didn't sleep. He called everybody he knew. And it was like, I'm not kidding. Eddie Vedder's going to teach me how to surf. And yeah. So that's the story of how Crowder got taught how to surf by Eddie Vedder. Man, it makes me think about who the famous people I've met just in radio. I've been around David Crowder before. I was at a festival
and I was doing some stage announcements at a festival, and I was supposed to introduce David Crowder, but first we were up there on stage, me and my radio partner and a friend of ours. We were up there on stage doing this giveaway. We're giving away the signed guitar. It was a big deal. Kids are going nuts, and we're thinking, all right, they're really into this. All right, let's pick the name of the person that wins the signed guitar from everybody that's been here at the festival. And then we realize I'm here, I'm drawing names, and David Crowder is like right beside me. Apparently we have been taking too long, and Crowder came out anyway. So I stopped and, okay, this person wins the guitar. Meet us over here. Ladies and gentlemen, David Crowder. So, and he was very nice about it. Oh, hey, Luke. Lucas, how you doing? Good to see you. So I've met a few other people. I've met Newt Gingrich. He was nice. Dick Morris. I met Dick Morris. John Travolta. He was super nice. He was very nice, actually. Because I mean, there are certain people that are really cool, and they're as nice as you want them to be, and there's certain people that you're like, you wish you'd never met them. And I'm not going to talk about the people that I wish I'd never met, just because, what good does that do? But I can say that Mac Powell from Third Day, quality guy. Seth Hammond, quality guy. If you're a fan of The Chosen, that streaming series that's about Jesus, the creator, Dallas Jenkins, I've talked to him a couple of times on the air. Super nice guy. There are some quality people out there in the media that are really super cool people, and they're as nice as you want to believe they are. And it almost makes it almost more heartbreaking when you meet somebody and they're not. What are we talking about right now? We just got through talking about how Eddie Vedder actually taught David Crowder how to surf. And that led to us talking a little bit about celebrities that you've come into contact with, the different people you've met, the different people that you've gotten to meet, and what your impressions were of them. And I don't want to talk about the bad. We don't want to talk about, this person was a jerk when I met him, because there's plenty of that out there. But yeah, just the people out there that are celebrities that you've met that ended up living up to the hype. They made you bigger fans. The guys from For King and Country, super cool guy. And a lot of mine are going to be in Christian radio, because I was a Christian radio DJ for a number of years. And I met some really cool people on the local level and on the national level and on the worldwide level. Some cool people, and just getting out of Christian music, country guy named Christian Bush, who actually helped me propose to my wife. Blues duo Larkin Poe also helped me propose to my wife. Some of the members of Need to Breathe helped me propose to my wife. Not something they actually had to do, but they did it because they're nice people, super cool people. So it's always good when you find out those people that live up to the hype. It's interesting. Moving on to hype. Over the years, last few years, we've had what we here in the States have called the chicken sandwich debates. It's been Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A, and you always consider things a little more when you're talking about the Lord's chicken. From Argentina. Good to see you there. It's cool to hear you talk. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Look at you. We're coming out of the gate with a compliment. When you tell me that over in Argentina, I want to get your opinion on this. So here in the States, we've got this. We love chicken sandwiches, and there's like an ongoing debate about who has the best. Right now, it's Chick-fil-A or Popeyes has a good chicken sandwich. McDonald's actually just redid their chicken sandwich, and I will tell you, it's legit. Seriously. And McDonald's is not a place I go to a lot unless I'm getting my little boy a Happy Meal. Chicken nuggets are like the eternal bribe to get Jack to do anything. So sometimes we have to drive through McDonald's and get him a Happy Meal with chicken nuggets. But with that, we end up every once in a while we get stuck getting dinner there too, because we can only have time to stop one place. We're on our way to ball practice or something like that. But chicken sandwiches. So Pringles, of all people, has entered the chicken sandwich wars. Yeah, I know, right? McDonald's has one. Wendy's has a good spicy chicken sandwich, but the Pringles is now on board with it. They've got a new spicy chicken flavored Pringles chip. So it's going to taste like a Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, but in chip form. I feel like we're flying a little close to the sun here, Icarus. I feel like this is not going to be great. I feel like we're going to end up with a lot of those cans over in the bargain bin, because that sounds like something that's nasty, because so much of the chicken sandwich taste is okay. Taste is great, but texture is a big part of it. And you don't get that when you're doing the chip thing. You know? I don't get that. Something else I don't get is apparently there's this weird thing where criminals have a social media network. Have you heard about this? I got out of this story out of Liverpool, England. A drug dealer in the UK was arrested after police analyzed his fingerprints from a photo he sent of himself holding a block of cheese. Now, over in the UK, cheese trays are huge. Now, here in the States, we've got the charcuterie boards. My wife and I love those, little pieces of sausage, some fancy cheese, that sort of thing. But over there in the UK, they really get into their cheese. All kinds, there are entire stores where you sell cheese and all that. So Carl Stewart was sentenced last Friday to 13 years and 6 months in prison. He pled guilty to several drug charges related to cocaine and heroin. And he got caught because police intercepted a photo Stewart sent through an encrypted messaging service called EncroChat. Keep in mind that name, EncroChat. He was identified through fingerprint analysis of the photo, which showed him holding a block of Stilton cheese in the palm of his hand. The arrest was part of an international operation targeting criminals who used EncroChat, to which law enforcement officials in Europe gained access. UK officials say tens of thousands of criminals across the globe use it to coordinate their illegal actions. So this guy messed up, which, dumb criminals, I get it. People that go through a life of crime usually don't end up being the smartest bunch anyway. But I think the bigger story is there's a social media network for criminals. Why did we not know this? I mean, I thought that was just what the dark web was. But apparently is there an app? Is there something where you're going to have to get alerts and, oh, Jimmy the Hook has sent me a DM. And oh, apparently we're gonna smuggle the drugs this weekend. LOL, and you get a GIF of Pam and Jim from The Office high-fiving each other. Is that a thing? I mean, do we have that level of social media for criminals? Well, now it's been hacked. Law enforcement is now a part of this now. So I don't know how much EncroChat is going to be flourishing at this point. Are they going to kick Donald Trump off it like the others? I don't know. Luke says chicken. Oh, go back to the chicken sandwich thing. Aren't famous here. We usually eat a lot more meat and barbecue. The most meat here is asado. Yeah. A lot of our oh, right, you're in Argentina, South American. Okay. So yeah, we have asado stuff here sometimes. You usually have to go to like a Mexican or a Southwestern restaurant, but you can get asado stuff. Yeah, a lot of Americans don't really realize the distinction between the different regions. So we tend to lump anything that's south of like Texas, we call Mexican food. Even though we know that's not accurate. It's not from Mexico, but it's that region, South America, Central America. Yeah, it's not right, but it's something that Americans do pretty much constantly. But yeah, EncroChat. That's the social media network for the criminals. Maybe we should. Do they do live streaming? Because I could post the show there too. Right now we're on YouTube Live, we're on Twitch, and we're on the Facebook page for the Mark Harvard Podcast. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back in just a few minutes, we're gonna talk a little bit about these folks that stole $740,000 in church donations.
I'm not saying they're the worst people on earth, but they certainly make a good case. And also, how young is too young for New York City schools to teach sex ed? Because I feel like they're riding the line on this. Yeah, all that and more coming up in just a minute. It is the Mark Harvard podcast. Stick around and don't forget you can follow us on Facebook Live. You can follow us on Twitch. You can also follow us over on YouTube. Subscribe to us over on YouTube. Just do a search for Mark Harvard Podcast and subscribe to us on YouTube because we have to get 100 subscribers before we get a custom URL, and Daddy wants a URL. So go ahead and do that. Also, don't forget you can download the audio podcast that we do every single week over on any of the places you should get audio podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Podbean, Edify, and over on Google Podcasts. Download that and subscribe in one of those places. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stick around. It's the Mark Harvard podcast in video form. Don't go anywhere.
The Mark Harvard Podcast.
Like to thank Old World Lumiere Candle Company for their continued sponsorship of the show. These guys are great, and there's still time to get your dad a candle for Father's Day. That's right. Old World has the traditional candles like vanilla and lavender, but they also have manly scents like leather and bourbon. Not together, apart. These things come in glass containers. They look awesome sitting on a dresser or a desk. Check them out online at owlcandlecompany.com. OWLcandlecompany.com. Or grab Dad something for Father's Day that'll make his world smell just a little better. Old World Lumiere Candle Company at owlcandlecompany.com. Summer wardrobe with some merch from the Mark Harvard podcast. Go to markharvardcreative.com right now and click the store link to go get t-shirts, polos, bags, and hats with the Mark Harvard podcast logo on them. You can also pick up our famous Jesus Soundwave design featuring the audio sound wave of the name Jesus. All that and so much more found at markharvardcreative.com today.
It's the Mark Harvard Podcast.
There's a lot of people that are going to bang their hands on the desk and be real angry and stuff. What we're going to do is find the ways that God is working in all of this trouble and turmoil.
Who knew that optimism could sound so sarcastic?
We'll go over history, we'll go over the news of the day, and I'm probably going to make some jokes about 80s cartoons.
The Mark Harvard Podcast.
You never know what you're going to get, but if you don't listen, you don't get anything.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, MeWe, and online at markharvardcreative.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and online at markharvardcreative.com. The Mark Harvard Podcast.
All right, we are back. Welcome back to the show. Don't forget, leave us a comment in the comments and let us know what platform you're watching on, whether it's Facebook Live or YouTube Live or over on Twitch, in Twitch land. Let us know what platform you're on and also where geographically you're watching from. Love to hear that and just see where our reach is. We've talked to Argentina this evening. We've talked here in the States. Love to talk to whatever's out there. Also, and jump in on the conversation as well, because this is one of those things. On the normal podcast, we really can't go back and forth like this a lot because it's a recorded thing. This is live, so we can actually have a conversation, and that's kind of cool. I think it really is a neato bandito thing. And we got 10 more minutes left in the show, so come on with it. Don't forget, also share it on your timeline. If you're watching on Facebook, just hit that little share button. I think it's right there, depending on if you're mobile or if you're on desktop. I don't know. Share it with friends, family, that sort of thing. That would help us out a ton. And maybe we'll do some more of these things. This has been fun. I've enjoyed doing this. Good stuff. So I came across this story, and there's a lot of fury up in New York City about this, because even as liberal as that area comes in on, this even might be taking it just a hair too far. A wealthy prep school in New York City is facing a growing backlash after parents became aware of a sex education video for first graders and lectures on consent for hugs from family members. Last fall, parents at a New York City prep school costing $55,000 per year complained that their first graders were being taught sex education lessons that included some pretty intense stuff. Just last week, they reported on the same health and wellness educator, Justin Ainge Fonte, teaching a porn literacy workshop at another elite prep school. And now the Dalton Prep School is being bombarded by parents with even more complaints on Fonte's curriculum. So the news from New York City is shining more light on the left. And this is from Hannity, talking about how the less progressive agenda for America's youth. I have friends of mine. I mean, like I said before, I tend to lean more to the right for the most part, but even I know that both sides have crazy on them. If you go too far either way, I also know that both sides have jerks on there, but they're also good people on both. So you can't just say, oh, all those lefties, they're awful, or all those conservatives, they're awful. But you can't say that because that's a blanket statement that is not true on either side. So let's look at this issue right where we are. The first thing, let me just address this first off, and it's the minor part of this, is they're talking about consent for hugs. And not long ago, I came across a story, and I talked about this over on the radio show about this was at this point it was going into the holidays, and it was teaching your kids that they don't have to give anyone a hug that they don't want to give a hug to, because that teaches them that they have control over their body. And it teaches them that they can say no. And, granted, it might be Great Aunt Alice or whomever. And Great Aunt Alice, and that they're harmless. They don't know Great Aunt Alice. They see Great Aunt Alice once a year, and they forget her over the next 364 days. They don't know this woman. So this woman wants to come up and give them a hug, and they feel weird about it because it's a stranger wanting to hug them. But if you're behind them saying, you got to hug Aunt Alice, don't hurt her feelings, what that teaches them is that if somebody wants a hug, you have to give them a hug. And it goes on from there. So that's not too far off the reservation. Now, I think that should be more of a home lesson and not a school lesson. I feel like that might be one of those things where we've got parents fobbing off on the school system, their responsibilities as a parent. But, that's a side issue there. Looking at the bigger picture, why are we teaching first graders sex ed? I feel like you're taking childhood. Now, and yet I get that, kids are doing things at a younger age, and that you need to have them prepared when these things come up. That's really fine. Okay, I get it. But some of the topics that they listed in this first grade curriculum, no. These kids are not biologically at a point where they need to know that. These kids are at a point where they need to know where to put their G.I. Joes when they're done playing with them. They need to know how to close doors when they come inside. They need to know how to pick their shoes up. They need to know things like that. The best way to, they don't need to know about, self-care and that sort of stuff when it comes down to it. They need to find out that later on. Do it now. Here's the other side of that. Do we need to, wait till high school? No, probably not. That's a good junior high thing. Maybe a basis level, late elementary school, because we have kids, with all the hormones and everything, supposedly. You got kids that are going through puberty earlier, and you need to kind of keep a lockdown on that, so the kids know what's going on. And I'm for that. I absolutely am. Once again, I think parents need to have a bigger role than that, than just saying, you'll learn about it at school. You're fine. There's a health class that comes up next year. Let's let them do that. Yeah, we don't. No, parents need to have that talk with them, because when you get a school sort of environment, you end up not teaching values with it. It becomes very clinical. This happens this way, and this happens this way, and it's the mechanics. But you don't get any sort of moral code to go along with it. That's what your parents are supposed to actually put together for you. That's what your parents are supposed to be doing, or your guardian, or whatever. But that's a home thing that you're supposed to do. That's something that you're supposed to learn from someone that you trust and someone who you model yourself after and that sort of thing. That shouldn't come from the singer that you see on YouTube. That should not come from that person that you're idolizing that you've never met. That should come from a parental figure. If your parents aren't in the picture, your guardian, fine, whatever. An adult that you trust and that, that sort of thing. Because I know situations are different across the board. But in a school setting, you're not getting that moral code to go along with it. And I feel like first grade, man, these kids can't decide what kind of bubble gum they want at the store, much less have some sort of code of whether or not they should, sleep with someone at this point. And like I said, biologically, they're not at that point yet. This is way too early, way too soon. Let a kid be a kid. Come on. Is it killing you that these kids are young enough to where they have not had some sort of crisis of identity, or they haven't had some sort of injection with any sort of political leaning? Is it really that? Is it driving you that crazy? Is what I would say to the people that are pressing sex education classes on first graders up in New York City at this prep school. Those are the words I would have for this person that is doing this. Got a question here. It's from our friend in Argentina. Do you work full-time on podcasting, or do you do something apart from this? I'm actually a church communicator. And I've got a little independent video work and graphic design business and voiceover business and that sort of stuff. Kind of a creative. Mark Harvard Creative is the name of that company. I was before I went back into church communications, and I'm actually in school to be a pastor. So I'm in school for that, and in the next year that should be coming to fruition. But yeah, I spent a lot of years in radio. And when I left it full time, this is, kind of where I went to, and I enjoy it. I love doing the audio podcast. I've had a blast doing this evening. But I did Christian music, top 40 music. I also did talk radio. I also right now host a show on an app called Connect Radio. It comes out of the UK. I do a Friday night show, which is Friday afternoon for us over here in America. 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 8 o'clock UK time. It's a cool format. They've actually combined Christian music with top 40 music, and it works. It shouldn't work, but it totally does. So I'm honored enough to do that. If you want to listen in, it's Connect Radio. It's Connect with a K at the beginning, or you can download their app, Connect Radio, in your phone's app store. Tell them Mark sent you. Hey, and leave a review and everything there. So yeah, thanks for that question. Good to hear from you. Our little friend in Argentina. So there you go. Before we get out of here, there was one more. Where was that link? Yeah, here we go. These folks, they may not be the worst people on the planet, but they make a strong case for it. Florida-based group of Romanian nationals, they stole $740,000 from hundreds of churches by taking donation checks from their mailboxes and cashing them. So 4 people arrested, 2 others wanted in what authorities are calling Operation Thou Shalt Not Steal. Kind of creative, I guess. A group was based in Orlando but traveled throughout Florida and other states stealing checks, investigators said. In all, authorities identified 636 churches that were victims, including 355 in Florida. It's kind of a low-tech or organized effort to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mailed-in charitable donations at a time when donations may have been most needed. A lot of churches suffering because of COVID. A lot of people that are worshiping from home now or have kind of just traded off, and they're not giving. A lot of churches are hurting right now, and they're trying to figure out how to get everything paid. And so you end up where every dollar counts. And so when you're stealing this amount of money, that could be what makes a church go under. That's money that's not just used to go into the coffers to pay for like the pastor's new car. That's money that goes toward mission teams and to help the homeless and to make actual ministry happen. So yeah, the group had numerous bank accounts it used to deposit the checks, then use ATMs to withdraw cash as soon as it cleared. So arrested, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. 2 more still at large. They're being held in the Orange County Jail. No lawyer yet. There you go. Authorities still searching for the other 2 who face the same charges. So, yeah, they may not be the worst people in the world. They make a strong case for it. Yeah. Good grief. Man, this has been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed this. We'll probably do another one of these again. I can see this being a thing. This is fun. Yeah. So once again, if you're watching, be sure to like it, share it with friends, and also leave a message in the comments. I'll come back and watch these comments later on. Let me know where you're watching from, what platform you're watching from, and if you have any thoughts on any of the things we've talked about today. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Mark Harvard Podcast. You can also find us over on YouTube. If you're watching somewhere else, find us on YouTube. Do a search for Mark Harvard Podcast, and we're broadcasting on Twitch. Also, you can download the actual weekly podcast over on any of the services like Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Podbean, Edify, or over on Google Podcasts. Have a fantastic week, and I guess I'll talk to you later. Stick around. See you around.